Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm here and I'm gonna review Activision's newest game, Prototype, for the PlayStation 3. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go over the basics, kind of things you could tweak about a game, its story, gameplay, graphics, sound, and all that good jazz. So, oops. So, the game, the back of the box says, become anything, change everything. Pretty well sums it up. Main character is this guy, Alex Mercer. He is infected with a type of virus which enables him to change his DNA to pretty much become a weapon himself. My impression of the story is, honestly, I'm not that impressed with it. I think it's okay. I really believe it's kind of a copy and paste of stories like Resident Evil, 28 Days Later, and Doomsday. It's an infection inside the city of Manhattan. The city has been quarantined, and Alex is trying to figure out how he got infected and how he can stop this from spreading all over the world, or just, like I said, the story, it's okay. Gameplay. The game is really, really fun. I'm just going to say that right off the bat. It's really fun, but obviously I'm trying to critique the game, so I'm going to have to point out a few things that I see that's wrong with the game. Well, first of all, I'll get to something that I think is actually kind of a positive. Because this is a open world free running type game like Assassin's Creed, you're going to spend a lot of your time trying to go up buildings. Unlike in a game like Assassin's Creed, where you had to constantly try to find a ledge and just keep pressing X mostly until you got to the top of a building, Prototype does away with that and says, press R2, just sprint up the side of the building, and that's that. It's really effective and really easy, and it goes along with the theme that Prototype has, just quick pace, always trying to keep you in the action, and that's very good, I think. With that being said, the action is very fast paced, and quite honestly, I found this one of the most difficult games I've played in a long time. You'll often find yourself in the middle of a battle, and let's just say clusterfuck is an understatement. Enemies are all around you. You've got the military, who are trying to kill you, or trying to at least capture you so they can experiment on you, and you've got the infected, which are these mutated, human beings who are also trying to kill you. You'll often find yourself surrounded by both the military and the infected, and they're all trying to kill you. You really need to stay on your toes. You really need to keep up with the pace. You always need to be moving, otherwise you'll die a lot. Although, because of this, sometimes the camera angle can be a bit... sometimes the camera doesn't want to cooperate because you're trying to keep an eye on a target, and at the same time you're trying to run from maybe a tank, so you don't want to get shot. It takes a little getting used to, but overall, I think it does a pretty good job. What you'll do is you'll go through the main storyline and a bunch of side quests, and I'll get to the side quests later, and you'll gain powers. The problem with these powers is that a lot of them are useless. Like, okay, for example, Alex has 5 main powers that he can morph his body into. He can morph into claws, his hands into claws like Wolverine, morph his arm into like a big tentacle-like thing, transform his hands into like stone fists, increase his muscle mass, and turn his hand into a blade, which is actually like that right there. In the beginning, I found myself only using the claws because I didn't like the stones and I didn't like the muscle. Eventually, when you get the blade, that's the only weapon I used for the rest of the game. So essentially, you'll be using, once you get the blade, I honestly believe you'll be using two kinds of powers: the blade and the tentacle-like thing, because you'll be using the tentacle to hijack helicopters out of the sky, called skyjacking in the game. Another thing that's upgrades that are kind of worthless are hand-to-hand combat upgrades. Why would you fight without a weapon? Why would you fight with just your bare hands? You know, it doesn't make sense. You're either gonna have a gun, be in a vehicle. So honestly, the hand-to-hand combat upgrades, pretty useless. There is one though that you will use. It's the flying launch kick, I think it's called. I'm not entirely sure. But essentially what's going to happen is you jump in the air, you charge the kick, and you know, it's just a flying kick. What you're going to use that for is trying to steal helicopters. You'll jump, you'll charge the kick, you'll target the helicopter, and once you get close, all you need to do is press circle to grab onto it, and then you can take it out of the sky. So essentially, using that power, you don't even need the tentacle thing anymore once you get really good at skyjacking like that. So out of the 5 powers, I was only using 1 by the end. You also you get other good upgrades like armor upgrades. So those are useful, and the ability to call in airstrikes if you're in a military disguise. That's another thing. A really cool feature about this game is the fact that you can consume people and take on their disguise. You can take on their persona. So if you consume a military soldier, you can walk into a base without being discovered. And it's a really cool feature, I think. I'm gonna get onto it later on in the graphics about that, but overall, it is a lot of fun. The game is pretty difficult. It has a pretty steep difficulty curve, and it's very fast paced. So if you like that kind of stuff, you know, I would recommend Prototype for you. Sound. This one's going to be very short because I've really got nothing to say about the sound. You know, there are explosions when there are tanks and helicopters around, when the infected and the military are fighting. The voice acting, it's alright. I can't really say anything about the music because it didn't really make an impact with me. So the game kind of scores pretty low on the sound side of it. But, you know, honestly, I didn't find it a deterrent to the game, so what have you. Graphics, again, I'm gonna go pretty short on this one. Their PlayStation 3 graphics, they look pretty good. Actually kind of disappointed in the amount of, you know, character models there are. There are about maybe 5 different character models for the military, like different military personnel. And I can actually remember one time when I was consuming a civilian as a disguise, but then I realized I needed health, and you can consume people to gain health, so I decided I'll consume another one to get health. The lady I first consumed was wearing a gray jacket. The second person I consumed was the same woman wearing a red jacket. So there are not a lot of character models, and you have to compare that to a game like Grand Theft Auto 4. That game is huge, and you rarely see duplicates of character models. So it's kind of disappointing for that. The rest of the city looks okay. Looks like what you would expect on a PlayStation 3 game. So it's okay. It's passable.